The next generation of legendary Railmaster has finally been released. On top of that, we have some fantastic releases from Yema, from Breguet, from Seiko, and many others. My name is Oleg, that right there is Mr. Bond, and this is a weekly YouTube show where we talk about the latest watch releases, as well as some industry news. In today's episode, we will cover releases for the week of May 9th until May the 16th, and the very first release I want to talk about is this new Seiko Presage Classic Edo Silk series models. The Presage line of watches is so vast that it could be its own watch brand. You have some dress watches, you have some sporty timepieces, and everything in between. Now, this new line of watches is something that a lot of watch collectors were asking for. It is a smaller version of the Presage, 36 millimeters to be exact. In terms of the case height, it's about 12.5 millimeters, and it's about 41.4 millimeters in lug-to-lug distance. I think this one is slightly too small. I have no problem with smaller watches. I owned the 36mm Datejust for many years, but this short lug-to-lug distance will make this watch wear smaller on a lot of wrists. In terms of the case materials, this one is made out of stainless steel and it comes with 100 meters of water resistance. It also features a domed sapphire crystal and is powered by the caliber 6R51 no date automatic movement that beats at 3 Hz, and it comes with 72 hours of power reserve, as you can see written on the dial. That's one of my big negatives with these models. For whatever reason, Seiko would do a watch that everyone pretty much universally loves, and then they would put some stupid text like 3 days automatic on the dial. Why? Just get rid of that. It would be so much better. I haven't met a single person that said, yes, I prefer the watch with that automatic 3 days written on the dial. Not a single one. I think everyone sort of universally agrees that that looks ugly, but for whatever reason, Seiko insists on including that text. Outside of the questionable text decisions, everything else about this watch is fairly attractive. This is a no-date version of Presage, which is sort of rare for Seikos. Usually they do include a date aperture on their watches. There are 3 different dial variations of this watch available. My favorite is the champagne-looking one in a stainless steel looking case. There's also the PVD coated case that looks like 18 karat gold. That one is okay, not my favorite. The other thing that I really like about this watch is the bracelet, is that 7-link bracelet. It kind of looks like a Jubilee bracelet with an extra link. Usually these bracelets are fairly comfortable. In terms of the pricing and availability, this will be part of the standard catalog. It's not a limited edition. It will be available in June 2025. And the stainless steel models are priced at €990. The PVD coated version is slightly more expensive, €1,050, so about €60 more. Next, let's talk about the new Breguet Tradition second retrograde, reference 7035. When I took a watchmaking course, one of the things that really stood out to me was how many innovations Breguet came up with. They have invented so many things that we take for granted in modern watches. Now, this year they're celebrating their 250th anniversary, super impressive, and we're getting a lot of cool releases. This new release for 2025 is not exactly a brand new model, it's sort of a re-edition, reinvention of existing models like the Breguet Tradition 7027, but this one surprisingly comes in a very compact case, 38mm diameter as opposed to 40mm, 42mm diameter traditionally found on these types of watches. In terms of the case height, it's also thin, 12.6mm, and it comes in 18 karat gold case. This one is powered by the movement Breguet caliber 505 SR, which is an automatic movement that beats at 3 Hz, and it comes with 50 hours of power reserve. It is, of course, a retrograde seconds movement, as the name would suggest. You can see that retrograde seconds closer to the traditionally 10 o'clock position, closer to the 12 o'clock position. That's where you see the subdial for the main time telling. The rest of the case, the rest of the dial is taken up by the movement itself, which looks really cool. The back of the movement also looks really awesome. I really like this custom rotor. I think watches like this is why a lot of watch collectors love Breguet. It's completely different to anything else in the industry, and it just sort of screams traditional Breguet watch. In terms of pricing and availability, this is a limited edition to only 250 examples, and it's priced at €300. Next, let's talk about the new Venezianico Redentore Utopia model. Venezianico is a micro brand out of Italy, and I reviewed quite a few of their watches. For the most part, I am very impressed with the quality and the design language that they're using in their watches. This new model is very special because it's the very first time that they're using their own in-house movement that's actually made in Italy, which makes it even more special. On top of that, if you look at the dial, you can see that it has this handcrafted gyoshi pattern. So it's not a stamped dial, it is actually handcrafted, which again makes the watch very special. And in terms of dimensions, it's not too bad. It comes in a 38mm case, only 8.9mm in case height, and 44mm lug-to-lug distance. The case is made out of 316L stainless steel, and this one is powered by the in-house V5000 manual wound movement that beats at 3.5 Hz, and it comes with 60 hours of power reserve. Now, the design of this watch and the design of the movement do look very beautiful. However, that comes with the price. This will be a limited edition to 100 pieces, and the watch is priced at €4,500. Next, let's talk about the new 2025 Omega Railmaster collection. Omega Railmaster debuted in 1957, and it was part of this trilogy of professional watches that Omega offered. You had the Seamaster, you had the Speedmaster, and you had the Railmaster. The Railmaster was, and still is, the least popular out of the three. And that's why for a lot of time, this watch wasn't even available. We got a reissue in 2017 that was the trilogy of watches that was very popular. These watches sold as a set, and to this day, they're very desirable and sort of difficult to get your hands on. Well, now for 2025, we finally got the standalone Railmaster making a comeback. In terms of the case dimensions, it's very reasonable: 38mm diameter, 45mm lug-to-lug distance, and about a 12.4mm case height. It's a bit on the thicker side, but not too bad at all. In terms of the movement powering this watch is the caliber 8800. There's the small seconds variation and the central seconds variation. Both of them beat at the same rate, 3.5 Hz, and both of them come with about 60 hours of power reserve. There are two versions available of this Railmaster. There is the small seconds hand and the central seconds hand. Out of the two, I prefer the central seconds hand. I think that looks really good, and I also prefer this watch on the bracelet. And admittedly, this watch does get a little bit lost in Omega's catalog because they already have Aquaterra models that are very similar. They come in a similar case with similar watch dimensions. However, I think this one here, over the long period of time, and if Omega gives it enough attention, can stand alone and become this sort of third pillar in their collection, from the Seamaster to the Speedmaster to now, hopefully, the Railmaster. I should get my hands on one of these watches probably next week for a review, so I'm really excited to see one in metal and hopefully share that review with you guys. Subscribe to the YouTube channel for that video, and please give this video a thumbs up if you're enjoying it so far. That helps push this video up in the algorithm. I don't know how it all works, but hey, somebody told me to mention it in these videos. And in terms of pricing and availability, this will be part of the standard offering. It's not a limited edition. On the leather strap with the sub-seconds hand, this watch costs $6,100, and on the stainless steel bracelet and the central hand, this one costs €6,300, so about €200 extra. I think the pricing of this watch is fairly competitive, all things considered. Just to give you an idea, the 38mm Aquaterra costs about $1,000 more. So this one here is all right, and once again, I'm excited to see one in metal. Next, let's talk about the new Yema Granville CMM.20 collection. Yema is a French watch brand with a very rich history, and recently they have made a comeback with quite a few of their heritage models. Now for 2025, there is this brand new model line in the Granville collection, and I actually really like a lot of things about this model. So in terms of the diameter, it's about 38mm, 8.6mm in case height, and about a 47mm lug-to-lug distance. This watch comes with 50 meters of water resistance, and it comes in a stainless steel case. Now you might be thinking, since the watch is so thin, it probably comes with a manual wound movement. However, this one does come with an automatic movement, the caliber CMM.20, which is Yema's in-house micro-rotor movement that beats at 4 Hz, and it comes with 70 hours of power reserve. I recently did a review of a watch with the version of this movement that was a diver watch, and I was fairly impressed with the movement itself as well as the finishes. Getting a micro-rotor for a watch around 2,000 euro, that's how much this watch costs, is, in my opinion, a really good deal. On top of that, the watch is very unique. It really stands out, and I think it kind of really works in today's watch environment. I think a lot of watch collectors are looking for these sort of out-of-the-box funky designs, and this model here really delivers it. So as I said, the watch is priced at around 2,000 euro, and this will not be a limited edition. It's part of the standard collection. The new Ice Blue Kurono Tokyo 2025 Jubilee Sensu EOL collection. Kurono Tokyo is a Japanese watch company. It's a relatively new watch company. However, they already have made a pretty large mark in a watch collecting community. So this model here is sort of a different version of a watch released last year. That was a limited edition watch that sold out in minutes. It was a really good looking watch, and it came with a slightly different movement. This movement here is a bit more common, but still fairly rare. So from my understanding, this watch is powered by the Miyota 9133, which is a discontinued movement. So whatever last bits of this movement produced, the company was able to get their hands on. That's what they're using for these watches. However, they did remove a date window from the movement, which is not as easy as it sounds. I really like that fact. They really pay attention to detail. A lot of other watch brands would just leave the date complication on the movement, but of course then you get a ghost position and you also have a movement that's slightly thicker. So I am very impressed that Kurono Tokyo actually went that extra step and removed the date window. In terms of the dimensions of this watch, it's fairly reasonable, 38mm diameter by about 11.2mm case height, and it's about 45mm leg-to-leg distance, made out of 316L stainless steel, and it comes with 50 meters of water resistance. The design of this watch is very beautiful. Again, it's kind of a re-edition of the watch released last year. I like that stamped guilloche pattern in the center of the dial. I also like the way this power reserve indicator is integrated into the design of the watch at the 10 o'clock position. All of that looks fairly sharp. And in terms of the pricing and availability, this is where things get a little tricky, and that's where they kind of lost me personally. So this watch will be available for a pre-order window of about 12 hours online on May 22nd. And if you miss that window, I think it's from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Tokyo time. If you miss that pre-order window, that's it. You can't get your hands anymore on this watch. I think they do also have some sort of pre-order window in store, but that's if you live in Shanghai or in one of the Japanese cities where they have a store. Otherwise, you can't order this watch. So you can only order it for that one day. If you're interested in this watch, mark it in your calendars, May 22nd. And in terms of the pricing, it's not exactly a cheap watch. It's about $2,230 US. But I think at the same time, it's kind of special and it will be a very popular model. Next, let's talk about the new Ming 2901 Midnight Worldtimer model. Ming is a watch brand that is relatively new, but they already established a pretty good hold in the watch collecting community. This new release for 2025 is not exactly a brand new model, it's just a different version of a watch that was released about 2 years ago. So before, it was released in the titanium case that was a sort of standard titanium looking one. Now it's a DLC coated watch, that's why it's called the Midnight. Everything else about the watch remained pretty much the same. It still comes in the same case dimensions, about a 40mm diameter by 11.8mm case height. It is still powered by the same caliber Ming ASE222, which is an automatic micro-rotor movement that beats at 3 Hz, and it comes with impressive 86 hours of power reserve. Now, this will be a pretty expensive and a fairly limited release. Only 25 pieces of this watch are released, and the price is 22,000 Swiss francs. The new Vacheron Constantin oversees Grand Complication Openface. VC is known for their Grand Complication watches, and overseas is probably their most popular line of watches, so marrying the two just makes a lot of sense. Now this is just another version of an existing model line. Now it comes with an open face, in other words, sort of semi-skeletonized dial. It comes in the same case, grade 5 titanium, that's 44.5mm in diameter, 13.1mm in case height, and it has about 30 meters of water resistance. This one is powered by the existing caliber 2755, which is of course an in-house manual wound movement that beats at 18,000 vibrations per hour and comes with about 45 hours of power reserve. There is a power reserve indicator on the back, as well as the tourbillon at the 6 o'clock position. You also have a day, date, and month complications, as well as the chime feature. This is a very complicated watch and a very expensive watch. In terms of the pricing and availability, it's not exactly clear. They say it's a limited production, but they don't say how many units will be made, and they also don't give you exact price. The price is upon request. Usually that means over 100,000 euro. And lastly, let's talk about the new Hublot MP10 tourbillon models. About a year ago, I already covered a version of this watch that was the MP10 tourbillon weight energy system titanium. And now for 2025, we essentially got the same watch released in a sapphire case as well as a black ceramic case. In the sapphire case, it actually looks really unique. It's extremely difficult to create these shapes and these watches out of ceramic. So that is the impressive part of this watch. Also, the movement in this watch is very impressive. It's the caliber HUB9013, which is an in-house automatic movement that beats at 3 Hertz, and it comes with 48 hours of power reserve. It features something like almost 600 components, and of course it has a tourbillon function as well as a weird way of telling the time. It's a very unique looking timepiece, but of course it's for a select few people that first of all can afford it, secondly have a big enough ego to wear one. In terms of the case dimensions, it's about 54 millimeters in length, 41.5 millimeters in width, and about 22.5 millimeters in case height. However, these types of watches wear differently to your standard watch. And in terms of the pricing and availability, the all black version, the ceramic version, is limited to 50 pieces and it's priced at 300,000 Swiss francs or 344,000 euro. Very expensive. The sapphire version is even more limited. Only 30 pieces are made and it's more expensive. It's priced at 400,000 Swiss francs or 458 euro. And that's it for this week's watch releases. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the YouTube channel for more videos like this in the future. Also, leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what releases stood out to you personally. I always enjoy reading your comments. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.